Today, I want to figure out how much charcoal do you actually get from your firewood. So I'm going to run some tests and crunch some numbers. So right here, we got 6 rows of 3x3 pits. Then we have 6 rows of 4x4 pits, and then 6 rows of 5x5 pits. This is what it looks like under as well, which I think is really just interesting looking with the glass. I have not tried actually seeing if this will work with glass, but I hope it does, because it'll be cool to... I want to see what it looks like when the fire pit is running, so I hope glass works. But basically, we're going to light all of these up. Before we get the results, my guess / intuition to how I feel like this works, from just like the charcoal pits I've made in my survival world before, is that I feel like you don't get the same amount of charcoal for the same amount of wood you put in. I could be wrong, and I'm honestly so curious if it's like the same amount every time. Also, the reason I have like these different sizes of 3x3, 5x5, blah, 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 instead of just doing like a bunch of, I don't know, just a bunch of one size. And that's because, well, I'm also curious to see the difference between like if having more stacked on each other, if that like affects the amount you get, like this, that, like I'm just curious if there's a difference between the actual sizes. So we'll end up calculating the average charcoal we get from these sizes and then the overall average charcoal altogether. I finished lighting them all up. We can see all the smoke particles here. And yeah, I mean, this makes sense. The firewood does not look any different when it's actually cooking the charcoal. My guess is that once it finishes, like the timer's up of 18 hours and it finishes cooking the charcoal, it'll probably just like instantly turn into the charcoal. And this is what it looks like under. There are no particles here at all. So the particles only emit from the blocks directly above the charcoal pit. All right, the charcoal's about to turn. I'm very curious to see what will happen, how it will look when it turns. Oh, it is just instant. That's instant. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, the pattern is very different. Yeah, the pattern is random. Okay, yeah, but it could still be the same amount of charcoal every time. Maybe. We're about to find out. I'm going to start digging them all out, and then I'll come back to you with the results. Oh, you see right there how the charcoal's like clipping through this and falling on the ground? Don't worry, I'm noticing that, and I'm going the ground, picking them up and stuff and counting them. I have now crunched all the numbers, tallied all the charcoal, and the first observation is that you definitely do get a different amount every time. So I have all the physical charcoal down in the chest below every single unit here. This is what like the 4x4x4 looks like roughly, and this is what the 5x5x5 roughly looks like. Now let's set the base framework. So 1 log equals 4 firewood. There's 32 firewood in a stack of firewood. That's like the physical stack that goes in the pit / the stack in your inventory. And so with those numbers, we know it's 8 logs per stack of firewood. A 3x3x3 hole is going to be 27 firewood stacks, or the equivalent of 216 logs. To help visualize that, 216 logs looks like this. So this main number sign above all the pits is how much charcoal I got from this pit directly. So you can see how widely the numbers can vary. Like in this one, I got 153, but then in this one, I got 172. 153, 143, 161, 160. And then in the sign next to it, for the individual pit, I calculate the number of how much charcoal you're getting per firewood stack and how much charcoal you're getting per log. And so these are more so the numbers of what I got from this specific pit, and these aren't the actual like average number to take away from yet. So for example, with the first pit here from 153 charcoal, that's basically the equivalent of 5.66 charcoal per firewood stack or 0.7 charcoal per log. And the rest follow similar numbers for the most part. This one was like the biggest number, so it was 6.37 charcoal per firewood stack. But there's not much point going over every single one because the number we care about the most is going to be at the end of it when we average it all together. But I do want to show some of the numbers for the bigger pits. So over here we have the 4x4x4, which is made up of 64 firewood stacks or 512 logs, which would look like this in a chest. And you can see the numbers here that you'd be getting from the 4x4x4 pits. Moving to the 5x5x5, it's made up of 125 firewood stacks or 1,000 logs, which takes up 2 double chests worth. Which is crazy. It takes up a lot already. And so here are the numbers I got for the 5x5 pit individually. And so if we head on back over to the 3x3x3, I calculated the averages for these size pits. So the 3x3x3 pits out of the 6 I did, I got on average 157 charcoal per pit and about 5.81 charcoal per firewood stack or 0.72 charcoal per log. The 4x4x4 pit would give me on average 371.83 charcoal. Firewood stack from this pit on average gave me 5.8 charcoal, and a log would give me 0.72 charcoal. The 5x5x5 would give me, the 5x5x5 gave me on average 753.16 charcoal per pit, which would be 6.02 charcoal per firewood stack or 0.75 charcoal per log. But we all know with tests like these, the bigger the numbers you can pull from more tests, the more accurate the results can be, or like be more usable data. So here's the average results taking into account all the pits mixed together. So now we're not thinking about the actual size of the pit, and we're just thinking about just the raw, how much charcoal am I going to get per stack, per log, all that stuff. So the data is pulled from a total of around 1.3 thousand firewood stacks. That's the data set, which would come to, on average, you're going to be getting 5.93 charcoal per firewood stack. So just almost 6 charcoal per firewood stack. So one of these full stacks of firewood would give you 6 charcoal on average, technically a little less, but basically 6 charcoal. And one singular log will on average get you 0.74 charcoal, not even a whole charcoal. This log right here doesn't even get you a full one of these. But technically, something to keep in mind, the smallest charcoal pit you can make is out of 1 stack of firewood. So technically you have to do a minimum of 8 logs here. So this many logs goes into the 1 stack of firewood. That's basically like on average 2 trees, depending on the size of the tree. And that's just to get you 6 charcoal. And that will conclude the test. Feel free to use the data I collect in this video for any other purposes. I don't know what other purposes you'd use them for, but feel free to use it. I had fun doing this silly little test to answer a question that maybe most people don't care about, but I found interesting at this moment. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought, and if you want more of these kind of silly little test videos. And hopefully I'll see you in a future video. Bye.